Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the daily edition of the Hindu newspaper and are equally relevant for your UPSC preparation. Articles dated 24th of February 2023 are listed on your screen and the time stamping along with the notes in PDF and Word format are given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article for the day. Before venturing into the first article for today's DNS, here is your weekly answer writing practice question. The question says, critically examine the Supreme Court judgment on demonetization from the perspective of power of delegated legislation of the central government. This topic was discussed on 15th January 2023. You have to answer this question under 250 words and try to submit it through the online channel and try to submit it on e-learn platform of Raus IAS to get it evaluated from the dedicated evaluation team at Raus IAS. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on the very first page and shows very promising result with respect to goods and service tax collection in India. According to the article, Government of India has collected 1.59 lakh crore rupees with respect to the goods and service tax in the last month, that is the month of January. And this shows around 12.7% increase in the tax collection, which is second highest ever. Now GST, be it the prelim examination or the mains examination, is extremely important for you. In the mains examination, it can be covered under the government budgeting because it is part of revenue collection, as well as the mobilization of the resources, that is monetary resources from people to the government. The reason for a very high revenue collection this time was the robust domestic demand. As the domestic demand on the merchandise and the other goods and services is increasing, so is the GST. There is rebound in the core sector. According to the recent IIPs, we see that power, manufacturing and many other core sectors is now registering a positive growth. There's also a base effect because in the last 3 years, we have seen that because of the pandemic of COVID-19, there was a setback and there was a low growth rate in terms of the GST. And last, there is the post-COVID recovery that the entire country, different sector is going through. Today, we are going to look into the previous trends of GST, how it has performed in the last 4-5 years since it's rolling out, specifically in the last 1 year. We are going to look into the basics of the GST for those students who do not know the basic concept of the GST and how it functions. And we'll also look into an important institutional organization known by the term GST Council in detail.
Now, what does this show? It simply means that there is an economic recovery, and this economic recovery is far better than what was expected in the last 4 quarters. Now the question arises, why all of a sudden India is observing such a high growth rate as far as GST is concerned? Well, there are certain reasons to this. First being that India is going through an economic recovery. Second being some of the measures like anti-evasion measures, including the e-invoicing, data analytics led investigation, year-end audit and the recent financial closure of the companies. All these measures have actually led to the higher data collection and higher tax collection as far as indirect taxation is concerned. Now, something which is given in this article is as of now not more important to you because data is not asked by the UPSC as such, including the monthly data. However, what we need as of now is to know or to revise what GST is all about. If you want to go into the trends of the GST in the past few years or what is the background of the GST, you can go through the video which was discussed yesterday, that is 1st of May 2021 by Baswa sir. So you can go through that link, you can go into the detailed analysis of the GST trends. What we will do today in this video will be what GST is all about and certain basics of GST, including the cascading effect, consumption-based tax and the destination-based taxation, what they are and how they are important.
Now, in terms of the overall analysis of the data, as you can see on the screen, that shows the past 1 year generation of GST. The green shaded portion shows the current GST collection and the blue one shows the previous one. In all the cases, you will observe that the GST collection was higher vis-a-vis what it was in the previous year. The reason is that there is a post-COVID recovery that is going through all the sectors in India, and that is the reason why in every month, right from the April to the December, GST collections were higher than the previous level. So the 1 year trend shows that yes, GST rate is extremely good. Bihar has been the most promising state in terms of the GST collection, which has shown 36% of the overall increase. In terms of the Union Territory, it is Ladakh, which has registered 68% growth rate on the GST. In terms of the losses, Daman and Diu is the Union Territory that has shown the minus 86%, that is the overall revenue generation through GST has reduced. And in terms of a state, Goa is the one which has registered minus 22% of the losses on the GST collection. So more or less we can learn that throughout India the GST collection is not at all. There are certain states which have registered a very high growth rate, while on the other side there are states which are now registering even the negative growth rate, which means that they are going below their previous level of tax collection. If we go by the 5-year trend, as you can see on the screen, if we start from the rolling out of the GST, you'll find that in the initial first year, GST collection was less than 10 lakh crore rupees, as you can see on the screen in 2018. But since it's rolling out, the overall trend, the weighted average would show that the overall trend of GST is on the upward trend, and it has reached and even crossed 16 lakh crore rupees in a financial year. And sometimes it has even crossed 1.5 lakh crore rupees in a single month. This proves that despite its overall controversy saying that GST is not going to benefit the economy, the overall trend shows that gradually GST is gaining pace and it is bringing more and more revenue buoyancy to the Indian economy. If we go by the past trend of GST and compare it with the pre-GST reform, we'll find that before the rolling out of the GST, the overall economic growth of India was very high. It was between 6 to 8%. However, after demonetization followed by the GST reform, there was a sudden fall in the economic growth. And this was coupled with the COVID-19 reform that GDP growth was almost in the negative terms. But now the economic growth has taken the pace in the post-recovery, and this is also reflected in the GST collection. Now, economic growth is around 6 to 7%, while the GST collection is over 10%, which shows that there is a tax buoyancy in the Indian economy. Now, given this trend of 5-year and the regional distribution, let us now understand some basics about the GST, which is going to be followed by the basics on the GST Council.
So what is GST, or what GST is all about? GST is a unified and all India. These are the two keywords. Unified simply means that there is just one taxation across the nation. Take this for example. You want to go in a party in a fancy restaurant. It is a restaurant which is air conditioned. The taxation on the air conditioned restaurant, let's say, is 18%. So the GST charged on the services and the food you eat is 18%. Now whether this restaurant is situated in Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, or maybe in northeastern states does not matter. If it is 18%, it is unified and it will be 18% across the nation. GST is an indirect tax. It simply means the payer of the taxation or the payer of the tax is not the actual person who is bearing the burden. The one on whom the tax is imposed can shift it to the other. Take for example, the product which you are buying in the market and the tax you are paying. The burden of the tax is on you and not the seller or the shopkeeper. Shopkeeper has already paid the tax and he has shifted the burden of the tax on you. Why you? Because you are actually consuming the product. The shopkeeper is not consuming the product, so he will not bear any kind of burden. So, indirect tax simply means when there is a shift in the taxation and the burden to the final consumer. That is the indirect tax. GST was imposed in July 2017 after a very long deliberations and conversations in the Parliament of India. As it is a part of the federal system and it is also part of the economic matter including the taxation, it was undertaken through a constitutional amendment and multiple amendments were included and a separate GST Act was passed. GST is a comprehensive, multi-stage, destination-based tax that is levied on every value addition. Now, what is value addition? Let us understand through the whiteboard. Now, what is value addition? Value addition simply means when you are adding a separate value, and value here means monetary value, not the physical value. When you add a certain value to a product and you charges extra money over it, that is known as the value addition. Assume that you are a manufacturer and you make a product rupees 100. All right. Now, when you make this product rupee 100, the cost of production in manufacturing this 100 rupee was also 100. So if you sell this product at this price, what you are going to gain? Zero. Your profit will be zero. So what you will do, you will add a certain margin to it. What that margin is? That margin is your hard work which you have paid in manufacturing this product. The cost which you have incurred include the cost of electricity, labor, raw material, or could be anything extra. However, you have already added your margin into it, and together this you will make out a price, let's say 120 rupees. This extra 20 is nothing but the value addition in the product. This 20 rupees is the price which you have added in the product in order to make it a more value added good. If we take the example of bread, which is the very classic example, if you are running a bakery and you have bought flour, wheat flour, you have labor, you have all the machineries, you have that burner and everything else. Now what you have done, combining all those things, you have made out a product which is a bread. So what you have done, you have transported raw material from a wheat flour to a bread. That means you have added something extra to it. And that something extra will add up into the price as well. So government will not take price or the taxation on this. They will take the taxation on the value addition of 20 rupees. So after that, at every stage, including the transportation, wholesaler, retailer, and consumer. So at every stage, there will be a kind of value addition. So this 100 rupees will never be counted. Only the value addition at every different stages will be counted. And this value addition will be undertaken for your final determination of the GST. Now coming back to the article, the GST has removed the cascading effect. Now what is cascading effect? It is nothing but the removal of multiple counting or double counting of the same product. Now understand the cascading effect in the following example. Assume that the manufacturer has cost a product 100 rupees. The wholesaler has cost the same product as 130. The retailer at 150, and the final price of the product turn out to be 160 in the market. Now at every stage you can see that there is addition of some kind of value to the actual price. So the earlier regime was the VAT or value added tax, and that tax was actually imposed on the final price. And this final price actually included the intermediary prices as well. So what government has done through the GST, that they have reduced or they have removed the cascading effect of multiple counting of the same product, and now what they have done, they are just counting the value addition and the tax is imposed on the value addition to a product. Now you can see in this example that the difference between both these value is evident, and that is the reason why GST is assumed to be much more simpler than the value added tax. The multi-stage under GST simply means an item goes through multiple change of hands, as I said, from manufacturer to the wholesaler to the retailer, then to the consumer, and along its supply chain. So where it happens, the entire process goes on under the supply chain. These stages include the purchase of raw material, the production or the manufacture of product, warehousing of the finished good, which also include the transportation cost, selling to the wholesaler, sale to the product to the retailer, the shopkeeper, where you visit. You do not buy product from the wholesaler, you buy it from the retailers. And finally selling to the end consumer. Now all of these stages are called the multi-stage under the GST. So the current GST is levied on all these stages, but only on the value addition and not the cost. As you can see, the GST is levied on the value addition, that is only the monetary value, not the actual addition in the cost. So this monetary value is added at each stage to achieve the final sale to the end consumer, as we have seen here at the 60. And finally, there is another keyword which is known as destination based tax. Destination based tax simply means the tax will be imposed where the final consumption of the good is taking place. It is also known as consumption based tax. I have also listed down an example. Consider this, that the goods are manufactured in Maharashtra and sold to the final consumer in Karnataka. Since goods and service tax is levied at the point of consumption, the entire tax revenue will go to Karnataka and not Maharashtra. Now, why this happens? Because ultimately, who is benefiting? The beneficiary in this case are the consumers of Karnataka. So, the consumer of Karnataka are beneficiaries, then why not the government of Karnataka take the tax? Take the reverse example. If the same thing is happening and people of Karnataka are consuming the goods, but the taxation money is going in the Maharashtra, so who will benefit? The producer of Maharashtra, the government of Maharashtra, and who will lose? The consumers and the government of Karnataka. And this is the reason why it is a destination or the consumption based taxation. Going by the components of GST. Well, there are three basic components of GST: CGST, SGST, and IGST. It is nothing but central, state, and integrated. Now, what is central GST? It is a tax collected by central government on the intra-state sale, example transaction happening in Maharashtra. The second is the tax collected by the state government on intra-state. The key word here is intra, or within the state. Example, the transaction happening within Maharashtra. So both first and the second are the same. Position is same, example is same, only the tax collecting agency is different. On the other hand, the integrated GST is a tax collected by the central government. Now this is a keyword. So IGST is collected by the central government from an interstate. Now interstate means between the state. As we have seen the example of Maharashtra and Karnataka, here you can also see the example of Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. The tax structure under the new GST is as follows. When a product is sold within a particular state, now what does the new regime says? The new regime says that there will be two authorities or two kind of tax, that is CGST and SGST. What was the earlier tense? Earlier tense was value added tax and the central excise or service tax. Now, what is the current distribution model? The revenue will be shared equally between the center and the state. So if a car is manufactured in the state of Haryana, the GST on that car will be shared between government of Haryana and the government of India. On the other hand, when there is a sale to the another state, what is the current status? It will be covered under integrated GST. Earlier the instance was that central sales tax and excise together were taken. Now, how the revenue is distributed? There will be only one type of tax, that is the central, because central is the only authority which is covering up the tax in this case. So central will distribute or share the IGST revenue based on the destination of that good. So if good is arriving to Karnataka, central government will cover the taxation and will share it with the state of Karnataka. Following are the taxes which are replaced by GST. Although we have covered this on multiple instances in the previous video also, so I am just going to take up as a revision. First is the central excise duty. What is excise duty? Excise duty is the tax which is imposed on a product when it leaves the production unit. So when the product comes out of a factory, the first taxation imposed on that product is the excise or the excise duty. Then there are duties of excise, then there are additional duties on excise, additional duties of customs. Custom is nothing but export and import duties. Then there is special additional duty of custom. We have cess, we have state VAT, which are also under the GST now. We have central sales tax, we have purchase tax, we have luxury tax, entertainment tax, entry tax, taxes on advertisements, and taxes on lottery, betting, and gambling. All these are now replaced by the GST. Then comes the another bouncer. I would say bouncer because these are the areas where UPSC can play with you in order to get you confused. Now, these are the goods and services which are not covered under the GST. Take for example, the voluntary services or the services given by the NGOs. These are also the services, they are helping the humanity, they are helping the human race. However, these services are not taxed. Another example is the services provided by the religious institutions. If you have read your beloved M. Lakshmikant, you must have been aware of the fact that institutional which are run by the religious purposes or the temples, mosques, churches are not taxed in India under the fundamental rights. However, certain fines, penalties, certain fees can be imposed on that. However, that is a different matter altogether. But these are the certain kind of services which are excluded from the GST. On the other hand, if we talk about the goods including the live fish which is captured by the fisherman across India, fresh fishes, fresh milk, okay, ginger, garlic, these are the many other goods which are excluded or not included in the GST. Supplies that attract nil rate of taxation or the 0% of taxation include cereals, fresh fruits and vegetables which you buy every day from the groceries. Those vegetables and fruits are not taxed under GST. Natural honey, salt, and other things. And lastly, we have, along with the above, the petroleum or the crude petroleum, high speed diesel, petrol, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel, and finally, the electricity and alcohol are excluded from the GST. Now, before concluding this discussion, I want to give you an important difference between 0% taxation and complete exclusion. Now, petroleum and alcohol is completely excluded from the GST. On the other hand, there are certain items on which there is 0% taxation. At the end of the time, as a consumer, you must be thinking that the both are same. Excluded from GST means that taxation is there, but this taxation is not as per the rules of GST. For example, the petrol prices in Rajasthan or the petrol prices in Odisha are different because they are out of the GST. Taxation is there, but it is different. It is not unified under the GST. On the other hand, 0% taxation means they are under the GST, but taxation is zero. So the product is paid or the product is bought without any taxation. So if you are buying salt from the market and you see that there is 0% taxation on this, it means it is under the GST, but government is not taking any money. On the other hand, petroleum or the alcohol things are outside the GST, but the government is taking tax on that. And lastly, who is exempted from the GST? All those businesses which have turnover up to 20 lakh, that is below 20 lakh, are exempted from the GST registration. So the barber who is sitting under the tree, the cobbler, or the one who is providing the rickshaw services, they are exempted from GST. So these are the poor people who are not included in the GST at all. Well, GST Council, let us understand some basics about this organization. Well, this is a constitutional body, so by default, it becomes important for your GS paper 2 in the mains examination. It is a body for making recommendations on the union and the state government on issues related to goods and service tax. So whatever they will recommend, it will be based on the GST only. As far as composition of the council goes, it is chaired by Union Finance Minister, that is Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of State in charge of Revenue or Finance, Minister in charge of Finance or Taxation, or any other minister nominated by each state government as their particular member. So there are three people or three kind of composition. First being Union Finance Minister, then Minister of Finance for State, and the last one being the finance ministers or the taxation ministers from states. As far as recommendation of the council is concerned, these are based on the taxes, cess, surcharge levied by the union, state, and including the local bodies which may be subsumed in the GST. The second being those goods and services that may be subjected to or exempted from the goods and service tax. And next is the rates and the slabs of the GST, including that we have right now is 5%, 12, 18, and 28. Half of the total members of the council shall constitute the quorum at its meeting. It means if there are 30 members, 15 would be forming the quorum. Quorum means the minimum number of strength that is required to conduct a meeting. Every decision of the council shall be taken by 3/4 of the majority, which is very high. That means 75% of the people or the members should agree on a point. And the weighted votes of the member present and voting is as follows: central 1/3, state 2/3. Well, before going ahead with the issues of the GST Council, you should remember that there is a separate article which was added in the Constitution as 279A, and this article deals with GST Council. You should remember this because it is a constitutional body, hence it should be having certain provisions in the Constitution as well. So this article was added. I want you to comment in the comment box that amendment, that's constitutional amendment, which was used in order to include this article in the constitution. You can comment your answer in the comment box. If you do not know the answer, just google it out and answer in the comment box. As far as issues of the GST is concerned, the first and the foremost being the delay in the meeting. Of course, the current meeting, which is going to be the 43rd, is going to be after 7th month of delay. Well, as of the provisions in the functioning of the GST Council, the Council should meet at least once in a quarter. The second issue is that many of the states have utilized or have demanded the GST Council to drop the GST on those supplies or equipments which are used for the current viral fight. Actually, the current taxation is at 12% on the oxygen concentrator and 5% on the vaccine. The next being the revenue shortfall and the GST compensation. In 2020, many of the states were facing high fiscal deficit. Some of the states were even close to 10%, which means they were high on their revenue expenditure. And this is the reason why they were asking for high GST compensation, which is provided under the GST Compensation Act 2017. This is a separate act which provides for extra compensation to the state. However, they were not receiving that, and this created the entire issue as such. And the last one being the dispute resolution mechanism, under which the Constitution says the GST Council can set up a mechanism to adjudicate any dispute between center and the state or between the state on issue arising from the council's decision. It is yet to be set up. So suppose if there is an issue between Maharashtra and Punjab, or maybe Maharashtra and Punjab together versus the center, or maybe all of them against many other states. So that kind of dispute within the council should be adjudicated by a different mechanism. However, that mechanism as of now has not been created and the issue still survives. So what should we do? The government should set up such kind of dispute resolution mechanism and ensure as a way forward to conduct the meeting of the council as periodically as possible.
This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on page first, that is the business page, and talks about the performance of an important government scheme known by the term Ayushman Bharat Yojana. And in this case, it is the sub-component of this scheme, which is Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Now, according to the article, over 5 lakh patients have used the digital means, and this digital mean is provided by Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission for the hassle-free OPD. OPD stands for Outpatient Department Services. So understand this through an example. If a person who goes to a hospital wants to get treated or just want to go for a routine checkup, now that patient has to go through long queues, he has to submit a form or take a prescription receipt, and then he has to show up to the doctor. Now what has happened now is that there is queue-less, there is hassle-free outpatient department services which are provided through Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. And now as this is a hassle-free program, over 5 lakh patients have already used this under the scheme. Now the relevance of such kind of article is straightforward because from the GS paper 2, government policies and intervention in the various sector could be asked, welfare schemes for the vulnerable section could be asked, and issues related to the social sector, especially with respect to the management of health, could be asked. In the prelim examination, government schemes have been asked regularly every year. So this could be one important for you in the upcoming examination. The content for today would be that we are going to read about the Ayushman Bharat Yojana in basics and details. We are also going to look into the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which is a sub-component of Ayushman Bharat Yojana. So let's start with the Ayushman Bharat Yojana first.
Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, also known with the name Ayushman Bharat, has two different components. First one being your Health and Wellness Center, and the second one is National Health Protection Scheme. This scheme is being run and anchored under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. But the implementing agency of this scheme is National Health Authority, which also have similar State Health Authority at the state level. Under the Health and Wellness Center, there are existing sub-centers with a number of 1.5 lakh, and they have been upgraded in order to provide basic facilities related to pregnancy, neonatal, child health, communicable diseases, some of the non-communicable diseases, mental illness, dental, eye and geriatric cares. So if UPSC asks, because they can ask in the elimination type of question that which of the following are not included. The most surprising element here is your mental illness. So mental illness is a good initiative to be included under Health and Wellness Center. On the other side, the scheme of Ayushman Bharat also include National Health Protection Scheme. This is a health insurance or a medical insurance scheme. Under this, 5 lakh per family per year will be given to the beneficiary irrespective of the size of the family. So there is no cap on the size or the age in the scheme. So be a child of 1 month or a person of 100-year-old. Every one of them in the family is covered under this scheme. So if they have spent, let's say, 5 lakh rupees this year, they can avail the next 5 lakh in the next year. So it is not a lifelong 5 lakh rupee insurance. It is 1 year 5 lakh rupee. It is available for all secondary and most tertiary. So this is the basic difference. All tertiary care are not included and all secondary care are not excluded. See, these kind of extreme words, these kind of superlative words are important for elimination in the prelim examination. So you have to pay special attention to these kind of words. Similarly, it will provide for pre and post hospitalization expenses. So once a patient is out of the hospital, they will continue to get the benefit till they are cured on a best level. It will also provide for transport allowances. And the most important thing is the benefits of this scheme are portable. So whether a person is staying in, let's say, Karnataka, they can get it portable to, let's say, Jammu and Kashmir. The one who is living in Bihar can get it portable to, let's say, the state of Gujarat. It is a cashless benefit and paperless transaction. So a person is not required to put cash to the hospital. Hospitals or the empaneled hospital will get it reimbursed from the government account. This scheme is extended to both public as well as empaneled private sector. So all private hospitals are not part of this scheme. Only empaneled private hospitals are part of this scheme. And lastly, all the beneficiaries which are covered under this scheme are part of over 10 crore families in the country, and they have been selected based on the socio-economic caste census database.
Now let us come to Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Now this mission was launched in September 2021. That is the period when COVID was at the high level. And this program is functioning under the National Health Authority. Now it is an important organization. It also looks into the management of Ayushman Bharat Yojana. This authority functions under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The objective of this digital mission is to provide the backbone to support the integrated digital health infrastructure, which we are going to discuss very shortly, and to bridge the existing gap between the different stakeholders who are working in the healthcare ecosystem through digital highways. Now please understand this. Let's say there's a doctor, he is very qualified, but he is not getting enough patients. On the other hand, there are hundreds of patients who are looking for a qualified doctor but could not find one. So why not provide a digital platform through which that particular doctor and those hundreds of patients can find each other through the digital means, let's say through an application, through an Android or iOS app, through a website. And that is the reason why digital highways are created. These highways are connecting two important stakeholders, service provider and service receiver. Service provider could be a doctor, could be a hospital, a clinic, diagnostic center, while service receivers are the beneficiaries, the patients and their family members. So this digital highway is going to bridge down that existing gap in the health infrastructure. The benefit of this scheme are very, very important. The first is that it is going to remove those middlemen and the corrupt practices. There are cases where we have observed that hospital management might take corrupt practices in their hand, where they might charge exorbitant prices for a particular surgery. It is an inclusive service delivery, so it is targeting a particular doctor and a particular patient without any interference of the outsider. So it is not a group activity, it is an individual and an inclusive activity. It provides instant service delivery, which means that a patient does not have to wait for years, for months to get a particular service. They can contact the service provider directly. It is cost effective as it is going to reduce down the number of visits a person has to make to a particular institution, hospitals, clinic or others. It includes both public and private health facilities, which includes hospitals, clinics, diagnostics laboratories, imaging centers and even the pharmacies. And lastly, it brings all stakeholders under one platform. This is how the Ayushman Bharat digital mission ecosystem functions. Now, as you can see, these are the important stakeholders which are actually targeting the citizens overall. So we have hospitals, lab clinics who are service providers. We have insurance sectors, health tech companies which are providing allied private services. We have healthcare professionals such as doctors, modern medicines. Even the Ayush is now part of this digital mission. We have third sector like associations, we have regulators, program managers, state and the central government who are creating policies in this regard. So all of them are associated with this digital infrastructure and they are targeting their service provisions for their respective citizens. However, as this is a digital program, it comes with certain limitation, and the topmost limitation is the availability of the digital services is very, very limited. Why? Smartphones. All people in the country do not use smartphones. They don't know how to use the QR code. They don't know how to use internet. So this is a limitation that has actually increased because of the digital illiteracy in India. And secondly, there is a urban-rural divide. People living in urban areas are more accessible to the digital health services than the rural India, according to the research conducted by Niti Aayog. Now, what are the basic components of this scheme? The first one is Aabha, which is Ayushman Bharat health account. So everyone who is going to use this mission will create a health account. That health account is going to have the accessibility and sharing of health record. For example, if a person creates this health account, he is going to provide certain information like blood group, height and other physical parameters. Also past surgeries, operations if there was any. This health record will help the doctor in the future to identify how this person is going to perform or what kind of operations can be taken up to cure that person. The second important component of this mission is that health facility registry will be provided, which will provide the centralized database where all the Aabha accounts, all the Aabha information will be kept. Then there will be Aabha app, under which patient can manage their health information. What is the current status of their health? Are they going through any surgery? Do they have any ailment? Do they have any important disease? All this will be provided on that application. Then there is healthcare professional registry. All doctors, nurse, clinics, others will be registered on this platform. And lastly, there will be UHI. It is functioning on the same basis as we have UPI. So Unified Health Interface is an interface or a platform. It will enable wide variety of digital health services between patient and the healthcare provider. The one which is very important, which was mentioned in the article, is the one as you can see on the screen. So this man is actually scanning a QR code. This QR code will then help the person to register for the OPD services. How it functions? Let's say there is a national database for the beneficiary. All the data of this person is linked with the respective hospital. So this hospital will generate a QR code for a specific service. Let's say a QR code for ENT. Let's say another QR code for orthopedics. The beneficiary would come to the hospital, they will scan the QR code and then they will avail a particular service in the OPD. This is how the unified interface actually functions. As I have said, this functions on the same principle as the UPI is functioning in India. So this was all about the Ayushman Bharat digital mission, an important scheme for your UPSC examination. With this discussion in place, let us now move to the next article for the day. This article of the Hindu newspaper appeared on the editorial page and talks about the incomplete picture of the data with respect to the research and development ecosystem in India. Now, the author has highlighted that there are a number of issues that does not allow the right collection of data with respect to how many people are actually going for research and development in India, how many institutions are involved in research and development, and how much actual money is being spent on the research and development programs across India. Apart from that, we are also going to look into what are the challenges that research and development in India is facing, what government schemes are available for the promotion of research and development, and how other way forwards can be utilized in this respect. So India's research and development expenditure to India's GDP is just 0.7%, which is far low if compared to many other economies including China, whereas the world average is 1.8%, that is more than twice that of the Indian average. And the main reason highlighted in the article from the writer is that the corporate sector investment in India is just 37% in respect to the research and development. While in the other countries, especially the developed country, corporate sector involves almost 60 to 70% of the overall research and development funds. In India, most of the companies, most of the MNCs actually hire the technology which has been developed by others or other countries. For example, the refrigeration technology. For example, the defense related technology has been transferred from developed countries to India rather than being developed in India itself. Even if we take the example of defense research, most of the defense products in India are dominated by the public sector undertakings. Let's say Bharat Heavy Electric Limited or Hindustan Aeronautical Limited. So these kind of public sector enterprises do not contribute larger sections to the GDP. We require corporate sector to invest on their own in the new technology, in the new research and development, so as to keep this ratio of 0.7% higher to even 1.5 to 2% to the GDP. Now this topic is so relevant in that sense that in 2014 mains examination, scientific research in the Indian university related mains question was asked. In 2015, a question related to a national scheme on the Innovation Foundation, which is directly linked to the research and development in India, was asked in the prelim examination. And that is the reason why we have taken this question in much detail. So what are the basic issues that does not allow the data collection with respect to research and development? The evidence suggests that challenges lies in the collection of data, especially in the private corporate sector. All companies who are conducting the research do not share data. There's an institution with the name National Science and Technological Management Information System, NSTMIS, which compiles this data with respect to the research and development, but it relies on the other or the third party information. Another issue is that leading Indian enterprises and some of them the foreign research and development are not covered in the data collection by these premier organizations. Only 11% of Indian firms are actually providing data through the registration, and firms which do not find government funding more relevant do not even provide or register for the data collection. Now, if data is not available, how can we justify whether we are investing more or we are investing less? There are certain challenges in this regard. The first challenge, which was highlighted by the economic survey, says that much of the spending comes from the government, as we have seen the example of Bharat Heavy Electric Limited or Hindustan Aeronauticals. Private sector in India spends less than 0.25% of the GDP. That is, the majority is coming from the government side. There is lack of opportunities. India as of now employs just 40 researchers per lakh of labor force, which is very low if we compare that to the US, which is employing 20 times that what India is doing. Then there is limited coordination. So whether we talk about the colleges, the research facilities, the PhD holders, academic ambience is not suitable. Research management is not there in all the universities. There are less attractive options available to the students going for the research. Most of them are running after the engineering sector rather than the pure or applied sciences like physics, chemistry, maths, because they are looking for the lucrative industrial career, and the payment, the remuneration which they get for the research work is not up to the mark. Government, in fact, has not come up with a unified policy, with a uniform research and development or integrated policy for the entire nation. So given these challenges, government has come up with various programs. These are the following. For example, we have Prime Minister Fellowship Scheme for PPP model, where government and private universities can work together. We have Vajra, that is visiting advanced joint research for the NRI who want to come to India and go for research. Then we have Imprint, where IITs and IISc are working together for the engineering sector. We have Strides for the humanities and human sciences. We have Spark for the collaboration with the foreign universities. We have Ramanuja Fellowship Program for the Indian scientists and engineers working all over the world. And then we have Inspire, very important schemes for the contractual research positions. All these schemes are working together to attract brilliant minds to come to India or who are already living in India to adopt research as an important career option and work towards improving the technological advancement of the country. But what else can we do? The best thing is that according to economic survey, state government should take the lead and do not rely on the center. State public sector enterprises, small firms, and even the state government spendings through the budget should go up to 3% of their GDP. There should be more private and public collaboration, so corporate sector can come up with the government universities to conduct the research in a PPP model basis. The major issue which is highlighted by the faculties at the top institution is that they are spending more time for the administrative duties, so they should be relieved of those duties to work and focus more on the research. We should allow and incentivize the collaboration between the industry and the academia. Let the industry, let the corporate sector, let the private companies come to the IITs, IIMs and conduct the research, hire the people from there for the research. Why placements at the colleges should only focus for the job creation? Why not for the research and development? And there should be a mix of traditional and the modern state-of-the-art science and technology knowledge. Because rural sector holds the larger population of India. Why can't we provide research and development avenue for the rural youth who are looking for the employment, who are literate and are held as academicians? Why can't we utilize their knowledge, also utilizing the traditional knowledge that they are using? There are certain tribal communities across India who are utilizing the traditional knowledge of medicines, traditional knowledge of different cures, traditional knowledge for natural health products. So why not utilize that knowledge and conduct research and development in those fields? So combining these way forward along with the government schemes can help to bring up the research and development programs if right data is available to the public domain. That's all for today's Daily News Simplified. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more such updates.